Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. And here on the Total Truth Show, we want to help you break free from the lies and propaganda of the mainstream media. All the disinformation and misinformation, we want to help you blast through all of that. And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
There is a great awakening happening in the world right now, and you're going to want to come along for the ride.
A lot of lies are coming to the surface. There's a lot of awakening happening, and as this awakening is happening, people realize they've been deceived for years. They've been lied to for years around all sorts of things. A lot of people have been blind to what has been going on in the world, and now they're starting to see. They're starting to see things in a different light.
Through our show, we want to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass. And we don't want you just to accept the things that we're saying. That goes for our guests as well. We want you to do the research for yourself. Get out there and start questioning things. Start looking things up. Do the research. We want to pave the way for a new awakened world. And we want you to come along for the ride. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Welcome to Total Truth Show, episode 131, The Truth About Saving Kids from Pricks. Hot topic today, and I know our guest is very knowledgeable on this topic, so cannot wait for this today. We've got my co-host, of course, Ken Kleinberg from the US. How are you going today, Ken?
Doing great. Doing amazing.
Fantastic. And our amazing guest, Stephanie Nelson. Now, a little bit about her before we chat with her today. She is a speaker, researcher, activist, saving children from vaccine damage, sex abuse, and late-term abortion. Her vision is to establish Hayley's Haven across Australia, healing sanctuaries for vaccine-injured people to flourish. And Hayley, of course, named after your beautiful daughter, Hayley. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Albert. It's so good to be here and lovely to meet you too, Ken.
Great meeting you too. Great having you as a guest.
Great. Now, we've got to stop with great because that's enough great. This is going to be great. I started my advocacy 25 years ago when I found out that my daughter had been injured by childhood schedule products, medicinal products. And so for 25 years, I've been banging on about the risks of the childhood schedule, which has blown out since 1986, and the vaccine compensation plan that was put through to protect these people who made jabs and put them on the schedule. They have no liability for their products. So if they hurt somebody, that's on that somebody, and if they're good enough, they can fight the government to try to get some sort of compensation. But there's no compensating a broken brain. There's no bringing back a life, the potential that is lost when that young child is injured by vaccines. So that has been my passion for many, many years now. And then COVID came along and everybody started speaking my language. I'm like, okay, I've got to find something else to talk about that not everybody else is talking about, but I haven't found one yet. Well, I kind of have. So I do.
Yes, this is a big topic, and you know, there was the Vaxxed movie. There was actually a fair bit of media around about this, but of course, a lot of it was censored. And we always have to, you know, if there's nothing to hide, why the censorship around these topics? Now, you were personally involved with that Vaxxed bus, weren't you? And you went around Australia and did something. Can you explain a bit what happened in Australia during COVID where, you know, with the Vaxxed film, and can people see that film online now?
Well, absolutely. You can go to www.vaxxed.com and you can find the Vaxxed movie. Vaxxed 2 is The People's Truth, which was the story from the US bus which was telling all of the people's stories. And then in 2017, Polly Tommy, who went around with the Vax bus in the States, actually came over here to Australia. And our girls in the ABN just said, you know what, we need a bus like that. So that's how that came about. It finally did come about in 2019 was the first Vax Down Under bus tour, which was Southeast Queensland. And then in September of 2020, we wanted to tour Queensland, and Meryl Dorey, who was the then president of the Australian Vaccination Risk Network, was going to tour. They then, in their wisdom, shut the border, that invisible, imaginary line between New South Wales and Queensland, and Meryl couldn't come over. So I was given the opportunity to tour with the Vaxxed bus in 2020, and it was such an honour. There's just behind me is a thing I made up. What is that, Aldwyn? I can't even think of it. Thank you, Ken. That is a collage that I made up of pictures that were taken on the tour, and it's still precious memories. Yeah. One of the most amazing signs I think we saw in Emerald was absurd times call for absurd amounts of love. And I grabbed that photo and I ran with that for a bit,
Now,
we are living times.
Kind of just getting right into this, because I'm ready just to dive in the deep end with this.
Let's go.
Let's go. So I'm going to actually start with this, because I have done my research, especially more on the C-19 jab, and I've this is actually the third part of an article series that I wrote on the truth. What is the truth around COVID and all the other stuff? And part 3 of my article series talks about the C-19 jab. But through my research, I also made some other discoveries. A lot of these scheduled jabs that go into infants, little babies, have fetal cells, aluminum, mercury. Now, what have we been told around mercury? Isn't that an absolute, deadly to the max?
It's a no-no.
Yeah.
We don't
So
do that.
there's mercury in some of these jabs.
Not so much the childhood ones anymore, Ken.
Oh, that's good.
We fought long and hard last century to get those taken out. But when they brought the flu shot in the early noughties, they put mercury in the flu shot. So if you're giving your child the flu shot, And
then here's the kicker. Now, I know this is definitely in the C-19 jab. Graphene oxide. And I find graphene oxide is very interesting, and I'm actually going to read a quote here. Graphene oxide is also extremely lightweight and conductive. Interesting. With its temperature thresholds ranging anywhere from 2200 to 3300 Fahrenheit, which is, hypothetically speaking, it means that it outperforms all other known minerals. Now, they're putting this in the C-19. As an electrical conductor, graphene forms as well as copper, despite being almost completely transparent. It remains so dense that not even helium or the smallest gas atom can pass through it. So, as an electrical conductor, graphene performs as well as copper, and despite being the most completely transparent, remains so dense not even helium or the smallest gas atom can pass through it. And that's what's being injected into your cells. Now, conductive. I find that very interesting, especially with the cell phone towers and 5G coming out. So anyhow, like I said, I'm kind of setting up the stage because this is like a hot topic, and I've done some research on it. So there we go. Let's go off to the races. I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Okay. So, yes, everything that you said there was absolutely right. And there are self-assembling nanoparticles in these injections. Have you actually read Naomi Wolf's book on Pfizer, on the Pfizer trials? That
I
would be an
have
absolutely
not.
fabulous.
I've probably heard about it, but
Mm.
haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, that would be a great place to start, because when you know that they wanted to put those files away for 75 years, they wanted to suppress them, pop them away in the archives, and nobody be looking at the Pfizer trials. And the Children's Health Defence, Bobby Kennedy Jr., before he was Secretary of HHS, fought to get those papers released, and they were released, and 750,000 documents are just a dump, like they've done with the Einstein files. And when they did that, it was so much real deep clinical information, So what Naomi did was she managed to get a whole bunch of people around the world that specialized in these spaces, and they made their own little groups to look at their little section. And the scariest thing about that whole trial is that everything comes down to our reproductive health. All of the data comes back to reproductive health.
Yes.
Yeah, all of it. It's so
because
sad.
there's a massive depopulation agenda that was all around. That's part of it. I think they wanted the population down from 8.5 billion people down to 500 million is what was the goal on what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I just find it interesting though. So back to the children here. So I find it really, really interesting that, what is it? This little tiny infant baby gets all these unneeded vaccines from the very start. The baby hasn't even developed much at all, and we're just injecting the baby with
doesn't even have
stuff.
an immune system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, doesn't have an immune system for the first 12 months.
I just find that very shocking.
Yeah. What are some of the stories that you've heard along the way, Stephanie, of how bad it actually really is?
Oh my goodness. So many kids are dead. SIDS is not sudden infant death syndrome. It's vaccine injury to the nth degree. It's the final vaccine injury. I have friends who have lost their children not only to the C19 but to childhood vaccines. And, I'm the lucky one because I still get to hug my girl. But you bring autism into a family and it creates struggle. It creates challenges that wouldn't otherwise be there. You have to learn language that you wouldn't otherwise have to learn. I guess it expands us a whole lot as parents of vaccine injured children. But
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't know. I thought you were done. So go ahead.
No, I can be done. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to take us to a whole other place, but please.
So you mentioned autism, and it's interesting. There are a lot of rising people starting to talk about autism now. And I find it very interesting. In our apartment complex, we actually have an entire family, 3 sisters, and all 3 of the sisters have kids, and every one of the kids throughout the entire family and some of the husbands all have autism. And when they came in, and it's a sweet family, Mexican family, they're so sweet. We love them to pieces. They're awesome. They're kind of like family to us as well. But I remember when they moved in, I was very suspicious, not of them, but just very suspicious on why and how do all of their kids have some form of autism. One of the sisters, has been doing a lot of research and actually is getting ready to be one of those rising voices. But one of the things that she found out is it all traces back to the doctors. And I find that interesting that you mention autism in the midst of this. So my suspicions are that a lot of this autism stuff that's coming up today is because of the scheduled jabs that these kids are having. What are we up to? 72 different types of jabs that a kid is on the schedule for? 72.
And that doesn't include the Rona ones.
Right. Yeah. So I just find that very interesting. Can you talk a little bit more about the autism part of it?
Yes, I'm so happy to. Do you mind if I refer to something? I have a book here. So this is one of the best books that I have found on vaccines. It was written by a grandmother here in Australia, Wendy Daniel. It's in its 4th edition now. And Wendy has just researched vaccines. And she has the information here. It's a graph. My apologies. Normally the book opens directly to it.
That's okay.
Because I refer to this graph all the time. So this is from Dr. Paul Thomas's clinic over in the States. And if you have a look at that, they studied children from 0 to 10 years. Some had all of the schedule, some had some of the schedule, some had none. But if you have a look, all of the different things that are affecting our children, so mediotitis, which is ear infections, you have ADHD. I want to bring your attention to that one ADHD. It's in the middle, second one down. See that blue line? That's a flat line.
Oh.
There is no ADHD in the unvaccinated population.
Wow.
None. Yeah. And so that has actually been verified, and with the latest study that you'll find at aninconvenientstudy.com. Have you seen that one, Ken?
No. Who's the author of that book?
Okay, so this is Wendy Daniel.
Wendy Daniel, thank you.
Yeah, we can send one of those over to Ken, can't we, Aldwyn?
Yeah, I met her actually at that.
She's amazing, isn't she?
Yes, anniversary of the event that we went to.
Yes.
It was
May
amazing.
I introduce? Here she is. Isn't she beautiful? So
yes, she is.
The grandma.
Yes.
Risk Network, wasn't it? Anti-Vaccination Risk Network or something.
Yeah. We used to be the AVN, the Australian Vaccination Network, but then they pushed back because, the Australian Vaccination Network, that has a bit of credence to it. We know what we're talking about with the vaccination network, so it had to be changed because the government didn't like us.
Interesting. And I went to put vaxxed.com into my browser, and for some reason my Mac keeps reverting to Bing for some reason, the Bing browser, which is driving me crazy, even though I've changed to make,
maybe you need to find it through the DuckDuckGo or one of the
I think so. But interesting, every time I put vax.com in, it said unsafe to go to this site, and it wouldn't even let me through to it. But I did find a link on YouTube where you can see the whole documentary for free, which is this one here currently.
Wonderful.
Watch it free on YouTube. So some things get through on YouTube, some things get flagged. It's very hard to know. Although I always think it's important to get informed and to get empowered. So it's definitely looking for this information, looking beyond. If your browser's not allowing you to go there, do incognito browser or a different browser to find some of this information.
A lot of people are using VPNs and things as well now, aren't they? Just finding their way around.
Yes, yes.
Here's Wendy's more recent book that I love.
Detox After COVID and Thrive. Oh, very good. I haven't seen that one. Wendy Daniel.
So this is for the people that were coerced into taking the jab for their job or for, for their children or whatever. There are ways that we actually can help heal. So this was a very basic, pop it out there, get it out there and get some information into people's hands so that they were able to find wellness, even though they were undergoing that spike protein injury, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah, so that's the other thing I was going to mention too, is the spike protein. That's just crazy. And it's crazy. The some of the images I've seen of the blood clots coming out of some of these people, and media doesn't cover it. No, you got to know how to look for it to find it. Otherwise, nobody knows it's going on. Nobody sees it or anything like that. But long strands of these weird blood clot looking things. I mean, the things look disgusting, and that's what's being formed from these spike proteins.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they're taking on the form of the blood vessels. So they're actually blocking blood moving through the body. So,
which is why a lot of people are getting clots, they're getting heart issues, and we're getting a lot of turbo cancers that have been happening as well. I've just lost a friend 2 days ago in his 60s. He was perfectly healthy, he's got turbo cancer. And now another friend has just been diagnosed with cancer as well. Like, it's just it's actually manslaughter in a subtle way. However, they'll of course say, "Oh, it's how can you prove that it was that?" But
it's not so subtle.
Well, some of the documentaries I've seen around it, basically kids get the jab, they get the prick, and next minute they're all contorted and they're like, and in pain. And we've actually had situations where people got the C jab in Sydney, for example. A young boy, 17-year-old, died straight away after it. And we've got these stories. I heard of two girls here on the Gold Coast got the jab and died, or very sick. But of course, you don't hear these stories in the media, do you? No. Very convenient, because it's all safe and effective, and it is for your safety, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever it's for your safety from the government, it's not safety. Exactly. It's like the same as fire ant
treatment. Speaking of docos,
the fire
I've got something else.
Statement.
No, this one is witness statement. So the COVID-19 vaccine injured don't want apologies or recognition or resignations. They want accountability and justice. So this photo here is of a lady, and her documentary is called Dissected. And she was actually here, her aorta was dissected. And she was a triathlete, fit as you could be, and almost died a number of times. How she's still alive is amazing. But this actual documentary, you'll know some of these faces if I bring them up for you. This is our Professor Ian Brighthope here. Ken, you may not know Ian. He is just an amazing man here in Australia. But Michael Yeardon, you would know him from Pfizer. Dr. Malik, Dr. Aseem Malhotra, and there are a few Aussies in there, and of course our wonderful Dr. Peter McCullough, who is right here, Dr. David Martin. We have some of the most incredible minds that are on our team. Now, they've all seen this doco, and they endorse this doco. They have actually been a part of it, willingly, happily. Now, this was sent to every Australian sitting member, so federal, state, and local. And everybody has a copy of that, a digital copy of this film. And very few people watched it. The local people watched it more than the federal guys. But we did have 5 of our highest ranking police commissioners have left the force in this 18-month period since this was released. Now, I'm not saying that just because we put out a doco that these guys all ran, but, if we keep pushing back against this house of cards, I think eventually it will come tumbling down. And it is just a house of cards. It's all built on lies. Yeah, the system.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of smoke and mirrors. And here we go. We have witness statement for free on YouTube. So that's really cool. That is on YouTube. So that's the link pop that in the chat. So people will be able to see that under the Total Truth Show Facebook page where you can see this show. You'll see those links under there. If they're not on the other platforms, they will be soon. We'll copy them across the other platforms. So that's great that they're actually.
So this one is available. Yeah, it's available on Rumble as well for free. But I would suggest we all grab a hard copy because we don't know when Mr. Big System's going to press the button and we can't use an internet. They'll shut down the digital world. You know, if they can't control us with it, they'll take it away. You know, we've actually turned the internet into something magical, haven't we? They kind of brought it in so they could watch what we're all doing, and we've just gone, boom, thank you very much, and connected all over the world. Isn't this incredible?
It is incredible. It is. And I also found a link for Wendy Daniels' books. They're all here, Light of Truth, lightoftruths.net. Now she has, so there's the vaccines, myths and facts. She's got Detox After COVID and Thrive, and also Welcome Earthling is another book she's got on there. So check out all of
Welcome Earthling is beautiful, yes, for the littles.
Lovely. So now, Stephanie, I'd love to hear your story and why Hayley's Haven is so important for you. Can you let us know what happened with Hayley and the background?
Yeah, sure. So Hayley is one of 3 girls. So I had 3 babies under 10 months, and Hayley is profoundly autistic and intellectually impaired, and my other 2 are not. And so I had a question in my heart I had to answer, you know, why is Hayley autistic and my other 2 are perfectly neurotypical? And I was lucky enough to meet a naturopath called Eve Hillary, and I was explaining Hayley's story to her, and she said, yeah, that's textbook. And I said, which textbook? Because I didn't read that one. And she said, no, textbook vaccine injury, you know, it's how it goes. So I was devastated because I was one of these parents that you give them the vaccines. If you don't vaccinate your children, then you don't deserve to be a parent, because the government's got our back and the doctors know best, pretty much. You know, I was a conformist. I just did as I was told, and I did what everybody else did until it hurt. And it hurts when your baby is hurting and you don't know what's wrong. And then I didn't even know what autism was. You know, I had no clue. So it was a great big learning curve. Very many marriages break up. Mine was one. I think we've got a 95% divorce rate in the special needs family world. And it just adds that kind of extra pressure. And so when she was diagnosed at 4, I said to my doctor, well, Kimmy, what do I do now? You know, surely there's something I can do to help her. And she just kind of shrugged her shoulders and said, well, you know, when her behavior gets bad enough, and it will, then we'll medicate her. And I said, oh, okay, well, what will we do? And she said, well, we'll give her Ritalin, because really that was all that was available in 2001. So that was fine. You know, I just trusted my doctor. And then I was speaking to a friend, and she said, you know, Ritalin's cocaine. And I went, nah. She went, yeah, look it up. And so I did. And Ritalin shares 97.3% of its properties. So, you know, crush that up, chuck it in a baggie, and you're in jail. But you'll give it to kids in a schoolyard. You know, it's nuts. And, you know, I knew there was something wrong. I never ever thought that it was vaccines. My goodness, they were the savior of the world. But yeah, I think it was then that I really started knuckling down and researching. And so I found minerals. I found colloidal minerals that my girls got. They got an antioxidant every day. They got a multivitamin every day. And Hayley's had all sorts of weird and wacky, funky treatments. You know, I was doing craniosacral therapy last century, you know. Just whatever felt right, because it has to feel right. You can't just have it all up here. Your vagus nerves runs from your brain through your heart to your gut, and all three of those things, if they're all in tune and in line, you got a good thing going. You're on the right track. If something's out of whack, then stop and think about it. So that was very much where I had to sit. I had to learn about vaccines, and I had learned enough to know that my children were never going to get another one. So from my girls' 18-month vaccine, they never received another one unless they chose it for themselves as adults. And if they have, they surely haven't told me, because they know I'll flog them. No, I wouldn't. But, they know how to feel about these things.
And I know there were a lot of people through the whole pandemic that felt very, coerced into getting the jab that really didn't want to. And they said they had to. They had to. I've heard so many times people say, I had to because I wanted to see my aging parents in the nursing home. I wanted to travel. I wanted to go to restaurants. I wanted to, do all these things that the government locked down if you didn't get the jab. So it was definitely coercion, and yes, you could choose to say no, but people wanted those freedoms to be able to see family and to travel. And, and who is the government to tell us what we should be injecting into our bodies? I think it's absolutely insane. And it's like they're putting this poison everywhere at the moment, saying that they want to treat fire ants. Well, you can kill fire ants with hot water, but of course there's no money in hot water. So you've got to ask, well, who is profiting from this? You've got to, follow the money trail to work out, as they say in the Thrive documentaries, which people can find in my Conscious Community Global Facebook group. You'll find the links to Thrive 1 and Thrive 2. It says in there, if you want to know what's going on in the world, follow the money trail. And this is where getting informed to get empowered is really, really crucial, because most people who've had the jab or have had their children have the jab or have had the prick, as we've said here, saving kids from pricks, they just didn't know any better at the time. It's like, I had a tetanus shot about 30 years ago. I was going to China and I was told by the doctors, you got to get a tetanus shot. So I got a tetanus shot in the side of my backside, pretty much in the glute area. And ever since that, I have had shooting pains at different times through my life. Over 30 years, I've had sciatica down that same side. I can still feel where they jabbed me in that area. So either they got a vein or they got a nerve or they got something.
I get a nerve.
Right. Get a nerve. And I still feel to this day the pain of that from 30 odd years ago. That's the thing, is that when you get the injection, it goes in so deep, right? Like how do you get this stuff out of your body, Stephanie?
Okay, there is a way. Peter McCullough, do we know about the Peter McCullough Institute? So no. Peter McCullough is a cardiologist. He is one of the most published cardiologists on the planet, and he has come up with a protocol to help people heal from the spike protein injury. And so what you're looking for are the spike protein antibodies. It's really, really difficult to get this blood test done. It's not a difficult test to do, but no one wants to do it because nobody wants to find them. So we need to, through the McCullough Institute, Peter is working on getting a lab that specializes in this. I don't think we have a hope in Australia. I think we're going to have to utilize this lab in America. But, if they can do dead blood analysis, which is often, I don't know a lot about blood analysis, but sometimes dead blood analysis you can get more information from. I don't know if we can actually get our Aussie blood over there to be tested. But, we need to be able to know what our spike protein rate is in our body. I didn't take the jab, but I'm fairly sure through some of the naturopaths that I speak to is that we all have this spike protein because they did a really, really good job with transfection. And the transfection comes from the animal raising industry. So cattle and beef and sheep, they would rather inoculate 20% of the herd and send them out to inoculate the rest of the herd. And that's what they really did with this one. It was a good shedder. Yeah.
Wow.
And so many people were, it doesn't shed. Oh, yes, my friend, it does. Yeah.
It does shed.
Really.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot of stories of shedding happening. And even just walking past people, you can pick up things as well, which is very, very interesting, you know. Interesting times, absolutely. So Hayley's Haven, I know you're on a big mission now to help Hayley and to create, a beautiful healing sanctuary for vaccine-injured people to flourish. And I love that vision. I think it's wonderful. And Hayley's such a delight. She's such a beautiful girl. When I came to see you at Macleay Island, she came to give me a big hug, and she's just
always a hug.
Yeah, she's one big love bubble. She's gorgeous. So Hayley, if you're watching, we love you. And what a great thing to do, this healing sanctuary. So what can we do to help you with this?
Okay, so number one, if you pray, because I think this is very much a God-given gift for me, for my journey. So in 2006, I was a raging alcoholic, and, I used alcohol to self-medicate a really crappy life. And I needed to be sober. It was not fair to anybody, my drinking. And so I started getting sober. And when you take away something as big as alcohol was to me, it was, what now? What now for me? And I was given this vision of a space where we get it, because at that stage, 2006, autism was kind of coming out a little bit more in the mainstream, Rain Man and all of that. And all autists were just amazingly creative, genius. It's not the case. So it was kind of like, our kids, some of them can't even have their hair cut. It could take 2 weeks to actually facilitate a full haircut for some of our children. Some of our children cannot stand being washed. They can't stand being in water. They have an aversion. There are so many things that our kids really struggle to do. And I was thinking, if we could create a space that will give them ownership of that space, that they could be not in a state of fear, but in a state of freedom, that we could work with them, rather than have these little people that don't know what to do with themselves when they're made to be something that they don't know how to be. Like I'm talking about, you see the children that are being taken to the supermarket. So for us, a supermarket, we hear the noise, we can block it out, we see the lights, they don't affect us. For those kids, some of those kids, it's like being in a nightclub with the flashing lights and all of the sounds, and every sound is as loud as the next, and they melt down, and we see them. And I used to think, bad parent, give it a whack. No, that's not it. The child just cannot process its environment. So why don't we create an environment for them? So that was kind of where my dream came from. And then I've shared that with a few trusted people, and we put together a concept plan, and now we have a full business plan. And we're at the point where we really are looking for land and infrastructure, building, planning, bring it all together, because our kids need this, our society needs this. And there are so many ways that we can help people to heal. Like I was saying about Peter McCullough and healing the spike protein injury. Here's our beautiful Barbara O'Neill that I also have at my market. She is incredible. Don't we all just love Barbara?
Yes, I've followed her. Yes, I've followed some of her content. I don't necessarily always agree with 100% of her stuff, but there's a lot of her stuff that is great. stuff.
Mhm.
She is
Yeah.
stellar. So, Barbara O'Neill is her last name. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Great,
You know
great,
that
great stuff.
she's not allowed to speak in our country. Do you know that? Her own home country, she's not allowed to speak.
Doesn't surprise me. I've heard some back and forth chatter about that as well. That doesn't surprise me. I think the book that she wrote, one of the books she wrote, got heavily censored and everything else. In fact, I tried to get the book. I can't even get it.
Me. Well, we have the real one, so we need to send a book to Ken.
Yeah.
Aldwyn?
Me, yes.
All right. So, yes, I have this one too, because we are all about castor oil around here. Castor oil.
Yes.
Barbara
I've heard about the
swears
good
by the
health
castor
benefits of
oil
castor oil. Yes, I have.
What do you do with castor oil? What does it help with?
Okay, so the best way to use castor oil is in a compress. So if you're wanting to detox, then you're going to want to put a compress on your liver. And you just pop the castor oil in, put the compress on, which stops the castor oil from coming through. And you're doing a detox with castor oil on your liver. It's amazing.
Really?
You can also use it. Barbara's even been known to say that it will heal a bone spur. So if you've broken a bone at the end of the bone and you've got a bit of a spur there, if you just treat it with the castor oil, it'll break that spur down.
Now, what do you mean by treat it? What do you spread it on your skin, or do you ingest it?
No, don't drink castor oil. Yuck. Drink cod
So you
liver
spread
oil.
it on your
It's
skin.
Yes, you just apply it to the skin. Yes.
I've actually heard, now I don't remember where I saw this, but I think it was a reel on Instagram or something like that. And I don't remember what it does in this particular case, but the person was putting castor oil in their belly button. And so
Yes.
I think that might have had something to do with digestion. I don't remember what the context around that was, but I remember seeing that and I was like, that's interesting. Is that actually real? But now hearing you, like, I'm going, okay, yeah, it's a thing. All right.
It's a thing. It's really, really a thing. And, castor oil in the belly button feeds your blood system so quickly because that's where you began. Yeah. That's the part that was attached to the placenta. That's where all the feed was coming in. You remember when you were in the womb? Yeah.
Yes. So where's some good places to get castor oil?
Okay, so you can get
wait.
castor oil.
Let me specify that question a little bit more.
Yes.
Because I'm sure you can get castor oil on the market, but I'm sure there's better qualities and there's worse qualities. So let's also talk about where to get it and what to get.
Yes.
Hang on right there. I'll be back. I've just got my castor oil. It's here.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
yes,
here we are.
Very good point. That's it's like there's watered down coconut oil and there's the pure organic, coconut oil. Or there's
I've learned to ask that question.
the real honey and the liquid sugar honey, right? The processed honey.
Yes.
There's a big difference. And usually if it solidifies with the honey and if it solidifies with the oil, it's the real thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So this is the oil that I use. This is from Savvy Sage. Okay. Now, this is my friend Gay Schultz, who's down actually on the Gold Coast, Aldwyn. So you can get this at the Burleigh markets on a Saturday morning. Okay. But it's organic, cold-pressed castor oil.
Cold pressed. Okay. And is that important to get the cold pressed?
Yes, it's how they process it, and it's much better to have a cold pressed oil than a heat treated oil. It changes the oil.
Yes.
And how long? So if you were to put it on your liver, like for example, I've been told I have fatty liver. I think this is quite a common thing to have fatty liver. So would you just put some on your skin wherever your liver is, just outside your, where your liver is on your body, and you just put a towel or something on it, or how would you sort of
pack it down? Could I show you how a compress works?
Sure. Yeah.
Can I'll scoot. I'll be back.
Okay. Here we go. For our compress.
This show is a show of examples. All right. Yeah. Cool. I love it.
I know, right? I've got it all.
Awesome. That's great. Okay, compress. I mean, I'm imagining something where you like bandage something maybe, or, like they do in hospitals.
I'm tempted to like have you rename her as Dr. Nelson.
Dr. Nelson.
I am not a doctor. I would never, ever, ever go to that institution.
I know.
Natural health lady. Yes, well, this kind of stuff. For knowing this stuff in the early years ago, you would have got burnt as a witch at the stake, I'm sure, back in the Crucible days, right? For knowing any natural health stuff. Old grandma recipes.
Grandma's recipes, they're the best. Okay, so this is for a limb. So, all right. So there's your compress. Okay. So that is just going to wrap around the limb. So say I want to treat my arm here. Can you even see what I'm doing here?
You just
and
strap
then I can just put that on. Yep, strap that on. And then you just set and forget. Honestly, just pop a compress on any old way like that.
Okay, and what do? You put the oil on that? You put the oil on that?
Put the oil on a face washer. And here's your oil. Here's a little oil. And then you just drizzle it on like that. Pop that on the skin. Put this around it, the compress around it, and leave it. Set and forget. You can also, if it is an injury and you need some heat to get the inflammation moving, or if you have inflammation, you want to settle that down and put a cold pack on, you can do that as well. And that will work just as well. And
how long do you typically want to leave it on?
Well, it really depends. If it's not in your way, 8 hours is fine.
8 hours, okay.
I like to put it on if I'm doing a particularly a liver detox. I put it on at nighttime before I go to bed, and then I don't even know it's there.
That's awesome. Now, I do have a question coming directly from my mom, who's in the other room. She is our best fan. She's watched every show. And yeah, exactly. Hi, Mom. She is she's our best fan, and she's in the other room watching. So her question is, what would help kidney stones? Would castor oil help kidney stones?
Absolutely. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. And you would just then apply it across the back and have an abdominal one. So that's obviously a larger one than this. This one's made for the limb.
So you would have one on the back and you would have one in the abdominal area.
If you want to, you can put it anywhere on your body. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
If you're treating a knee or an elbow, do them both together. That's not going to hurt.
Interesting.
Awesome. So look it up, guys. Castor oil, the magic castor oil. Now, I know that bicarb soda is also amazing for so many things. I am blown away by what you can use bicarb soda for. You can use it for toothpaste. You can use it to clean your drains. You can use it. It's just phenomenal, and it's cheap as chips. So you definitely don't want all that toxic stuff from the supermarket in your kitchen or in your bathroom or in your house in general. If you can use natural things as much as possible, that's definitely the way to go.
Well, that's funny. Aldwyn, one of the first things I learned about when Hayley was diagnosed was environmental toxins and how the SLS and the propylene glycol is put into everything. The SLS, because it bubbles, and we like to see bubbles, apparently. We've been trained that if it bubbles, it's going to clean us. But that's not always the case,
No. And that's sodium lauryl sulfate you're talking about. And I learned about that years ago too.
Interesting.
Sodium lauryl sulfate is really bad, and propylene glycol is really bad as well. It's a degreaser, or an engine coolant or something.
Yeah, propylene glycol is antifreeze, and SLS is concrete cleaner. And the crazy thing is that SLS, we use that from the day our babies are born, and it denatures the proteins in our eyes. So our babies are just forming, and we are washing them in this stuff with absolutely no idea that it's actually poisonous.
So things like bubble bath, things like shampoo, a lot of
Yep.
these would have all of this stuff in it. I think the kids blow
Yes.
bubbles. Probably sodium lauryl
Yes.
sulfate. They're blowing bubbles through those bubble.
Absolutely.
And then they're eating lots of sugar. Let's give them lots of fairy floss and candy and stuff as well. And let's just make them as toxic as possible so that they're all really obese and overweight. And Ken knows all about this. By the time they're teenagers, no wonder they all want to kill themselves. So, you're putting crap in, you're going to get crap out, and you're not going to be performing at your best. And we've all done it, right? We've all done it. We've all had the crap. So now that we're aware of this, you might want to, turn the freaking thing over, as Ken says. Have a look at the ingredients on your, not just what you're putting in your mouth for your food, but actually what you're washing yourself with, what you're cleaning your house with. It all has an impact.
Absolutely.
And, you can't control like the chemtrails and whatever, but there are sort of, air cleaners, and there's things you can do to stay as healthy as you possibly can, regardless of what the psychopathic government is doing out there.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. Can I share with you? I told you before about our Savvy Sage. So this is her card. So Barbara and Gay are now working together. So you'll see Barbara on the one side and then Gay at the Savvy Sage. And she has 3 amazing products. And I would love if I can share these. Golden Seal. Now, these are all based on Barbara O'Neill's Sustain Me book. And oftentimes we don't have the time or the inclination to make little salves. So Auntie Gay's done it for us. So this one here, Golden Seal, that's for all things upper respiratory. So if you have anything going on with the sinuses or the lungs, it is absolutely fabulous. This one also comes in a powder that you can snort if you so choose. And then we have Comfrey. So Comfrey is known as knit bone, and that is helping so many people. My mama, and I'm allowed to say this, I'm sure, because I'm so proud. She's 84 years old and still kicking it. She's going strong.
Bless.
She's had a sore hip and knee for a little while, and it's kind of not been getting better. So I gave her some of this, and she said it's feeling so much better. And, how many people do we know that are going for hip replacements and knee replacements? Why don't we just try to heal it first naturally? And then last but not least is the calendula that we love around here, and that is for skin, because we have lots of mozzies around here on the island. So we like to have that for our skin. So they're the type of things that I'm actually been marketing, and, just trying to help people to take ownership of their own well-being, and that you don't have to have a pill. You don't have to have a jab. You can just help yourself, keep yourself hydrated,
Yes.
keep yourself happy.
The best way. And you've got some cool T-shirts there too, don't you, Stephanie?
Oh, my gosh. Yes, I do. I do.
Oh,
yes. Look at this one I've got hanging here.
Show and tell.
Aldwyn.
Hold it up. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is
monstrosity. So, Ken, if you don't know anything about our local arts centre, we have a 12-foot tall frazzle drip holding an upside-down dead baby. This is it.
Unbelievable.
This is interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yes, that's the art for Australia. We're very, very cultured. Yeah. But
it's so demonic, it's ridiculous. It's how can they call that art?
Yeah.
It's Potter, the art centre on the Gold Coast. This disgusting statue of this baby upside down, as you can see there. There's been lots of protests. But it's still up there.
Remove the monstrosity is still up there so if you want to grab that, Aldwyn, and if anybody does want to see what the link's all about, so there we go. Witness statement. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, no, I haven't, and I'm looking forward to seeing that actually. So we have popped those links.
I know you've been involved from the get-go, darling.
Yes, I have, before they came up with the name Witness Statement actually.
Yes.
And to beautiful thing about COVID is that, during this time, and I love the word COVID and plandemic and scamdemic, and I think they're just brilliant words to just explain what's happened the last 5 years. And interestingly, the amount of scammers on there have also gone through the roof in this time too. The US $25 trillion worth of online scammers that have been happening as well, and that's going up like exponential curve with the number of scammers out there. Not just government scamming, but actually people on people scamming as well. And so
scamming one another.
Yeah, because people have major trust issues now, and we just don't know who to trust. And now with the AI world, we don't even know if you're real. Like the number of I put post up about Desi Freeman, and the number of comments that have come through from locked profiles without even a photo. Like these could be bots, these could be AI bots, they could be trolls. You don't even know if you're dealing with humans anymore. It's a really interesting time that we're going through right now. But a beautiful thing that's happened through COVID is my favorite word, right? COVID. A beautiful thing that's happened is the freedom movement, is that people coming together, supporting each other. There's a whole conscious movement that's been happening of people supporting each other, and people, knowing that we're not alone in believing different to the to the propaganda machine. Because my background's traditional media. I saw a lot of propaganda being pumped out through traditional media, mainstream media, and now people are starting to question things because they realize they're being conned. They realize they've been lied to, as we say in our intro for this show, and now they're starting to question because we weren't brought up to question things. We were brought up to do as you're told, to trust authority, to listen to your elders, to respectful of your elders, don't speak until spoken to, all that BS, and it's time to now raise the bar. It's time to raise the bar. Although our next generation, though, are getting away with murder, a lot of them as well. So saving kids from pricks, yes, there's a lot of amazing kids out there, but there's also those that are completely off the rails, and they're literally they're lost. A lot of lost people out there, which is really sad. The highest suicide rates in places like Australia and America, two of the most blessed countries in the world, although Donald Trump's doing a great job of losing people's trust currently with all the bombing that's been going on.
It is what he's doing over there.
I had a lot of faith in Donald Trump. He was talking about peace, and all I've seen is bombs going off left, right, center.
There's a part of that story though that you don't know. So what's happening over there is Trump and actually I was listening to a podcast episode today on the way home from the gym and explaining all that. And if you want, I can send you the link to that episode. It might bring you some light on what's actually going on. But the media has done a very good job, as well as some other trusted influencers that some of us in the MAGA movement have been following for a while. And they have kind of turned black-pilled, if you will. But the actual thing of it is so on one side of the spectrum, you're being shown bombs. On the other side of the spectrum, if you dig far enough, you're going to find videos of people over there begging Trump to not stop bombing, because these are the same people that are enslaved, killed, and all this stuff. They are enslaved by a very evil regime over there, and Trump is putting a stop to it. He's putting a stop to something that has been there for 50 years that none of the other presidents ever really handled. And what he's doing is not only freeing those people, but he is also setting the stage for future so that we're not going into forever wars. That is the story that's not being told. The other story that's not being told that the media and other influencers twist is, and I was kind of ready for this to come up today. I was like, okay, if this comes up, I am going to go at it. So,
you go, Ken.
What you don't also know is, see, what these people commonly also do is they will build their bunkers and have all these bombs and nuclear weapons in the bunkers. And then what they will do is they will put hospitals, children's schools, and all kinds of stuff on top of the bunkers. So when somebody fires at those bombs to get rid of them, they're now pointed as killing civilians when it was them in the first place that did the whole thing. So there's a lot of mixed messages going on about what Trump is actually doing over there. He's actually doing a good thing, and he is bringing freedom back in the oil industry, freedom back in the industry, in the energy industry, and bringing that open grabs to anybody who wants it. So don't believe the mixed messages. There is a real legit thing going on over there. And Trump is not just bombing just to bomb because he's Mr. Dictator or control. He is bombing to free those people. And there's censored videos that aren't allowed to come out of citizens begging Trump to not stop because they understand what's going on.
Yes, I'm sure it has nothing to do with controlling the oil around the world or anything like that. Of course, money's got nothing to do with it in this situation. Look, absolutely, I heard that Iran did kill a lot of its own people that were protesting. Now, that is disgusting. Yeah. And same with, Tiananmen Square. It happened in China. It's happened around the world where government have killed people. And this is disgusting. And I do get the standing up against that. I get that. I do understand. However, I generally think there's no winners in war. And, it's a tricky one because a lot of countries now have nuclear bombs and they could just, once some of those start going off, here we go. It's going to be the end of civilization as we know it. And human beings generally doing a great job of destroying the planet. And, I think about every time a bomb goes off, I think about the animals that get killed. No one ever talks about the animals that get killed in all these places, the dogs and the cats and the birds and all the local wildlife that get killed every time a bomb goes off, let alone all the people that are now no longer have homes. They don't have food, electricity, water, often family members killed. It's frightening. It's frightening. And in our countries, we have fuel prices have doubled, of course, in the last month or so, just about doubled. And so a lot of people now have gone into this sort of scarcity mode, and now they're talking about, another virus coming out. I saw on the news the other day. So now they're trying to roll out the whole fear campaign and, the whole digital cities and all of that. The
2020 jab. Yeah, the 2020 jab will suit the 2026 virus because they've got stock. Go figure.
Yes, of course.
Viruses don't mutate anymore.
No, it makes complete sense. Yeah, absolutely.
The world's gone mad.
Look, do your own research. I think it's great you gave another point of view there, Ken, because often we don't hear other points of view. And as they say, there's two sides to every story. And then somewhere in the middle is the truth, right? And we don't fully know exactly what's going on because we're only going by what information we research or we see online or, that's all we can really go by. But no doubt there's all sorts of meetings going on behind closed doors where there's other benefits to those who are bombing, throwing the bombs, there's other benefits, no doubt, for them as well, such as, who's making these weapons, who's profiting from all the weapons that, that are being thrown during these wars, the very expensive weapons. There's someone sitting in the back that's just going ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching for all the money that's being made on all the weapons, right?
It wouldn't be the the Bank of International Settlements or the Rothschilds or anybody like that, would it?
Oh, I don't think so. No, it'd have nothing to do with them. BlackRock, no. Vanguard, no, none of that. No, I'm sure
nothing to do with the system.
No, nothing to do with the system. So do your own research. Don't believe us, guys. And
don't trust the system.
We know Ken's a big Trump fan. He loves Trump, don't you, Ken? Are you still as much of a fan of Trump now as you were, say, 6 months ago?
100% I am. And the reason for that is because I've been very careful to stay informed through the proper channels, the people that aren't just driving a bunch of hype and all kinds of other stuff. And even some of the stuff I've sent you, Aldwyn, if you've taken a look at some of that stuff, it should have brought in a little bit of clarity to what's actually gone on. So, yeah, I've had over time to kind of switch who and what I follow, not because they're not speaking the truth I want. No, it's because, they've kind of gone on a flip side on a narrative that I'm just like, I don't think that's
Yeah.
what's going on, people. So I've had to be very careful who I follow. What I have dove into and what I know to be true doesn't produce fear in me, because there's an end game going on here, and I think it's, Trump gave them ample time. Trump gave them ample time to, make a deal, to do whatever. And they chose not to. Yes, and they do enslave their people. There was a post that the guy that I was listening to earlier today shared, of one guy that is over there, that put out a post, and he's like, these people that are on TV that say this and this, they've never had a daughter that's been in prison, and then you get a call later on saying, come and pick up her body because they killed her. Different things like that. All that's going on in that country. And so Trump is freeing that civilization from the people. And when he says things like, I want to obliterate this civilization from the earth, as he's been quoted of saying, what he was talking about is not the people. He was talking about the evil regime and the evil group that's over there causing all of this. That's what he means when he says that. And so I find it very interesting how different people are just taking, it's the same thing the media does. They're just taking things that he says and they're twisting it. And now you have a whole bunch of people that are thinking that Trump is going to obliterate this whole civilization off of the face of the earth, when that's not what he's trying to do. And that's not what he meant when he said that. So anyhow.
Yeah, it's interesting how in bed he is with Israel. It's very interesting. Israel and America very much in bed with each other. And I remember when I interviewed David Icke 2016, and David, at the time, it was the election between Trump and Hillary Clinton. And I said, what do you think is going to happen with this election? He said, well, it doesn't matter. They're both puppets. They're both puppets. It doesn't matter who gets in. They're going to be puppets for who the people are behind the politicians, right? And it's interesting that Israel is in bed with America at the moment, and joining forces to do this. And of course, there's good and bad in every nationality and religion, and I'm sure there's good and bad traits of all politicians as well, unless they're complete sociopaths or psychopaths, which, in which case it'd probably be hard to find a positive trait there. However, I'm sure generally most people come into the world and they're, like children are, they're generally innocent, they're generally loving, they're generally open to new experiences. And then somewhere along the line, they get jaded, they get hurt, and they say, hurt people, and then some of them turn out to be sex offenders. And Destiny Rescue is a great cause. And we've, this show talking about the truth about saving kids from pricks. We haven't even gone into the details around, and we do need to wrap up shortly. But Destiny Rescue is a global non-profit organization dedicated to rescuing kids from sexual exploitation and human trafficking, and supporting their long-term freedom and rehabilitation. And there's a lot of that needs to be done, because we know with the Epstein files and all of that, there's a lot of people in very high places that do some atrocious acts of cruelty, and in fact demonic acts, child sacrifices, all sorts of crazy stuff does happen. So that's another form of saving kids from pricks. But for the purpose of this show, we'll probably get Stephanie back another time for another show, but we do need to wrap up shortly.
So happy to come and talk to you about pedophiles. Oh, they're nasty, aren't they? Grubby. But again, it's the older I get, as I was younger, because my grandfather abused me at the age of 6, hence the crazy alcoholic at the age of 36. So I kind of think, is there anybody who's gotten through this life unscathed without being beaten, But then, heck, it just builds character, doesn't it? Hey, we need to be refined, and refining takes a bit of heat and a little bit of pressure, and
yes. I always say everything is everything is in divine order, and ask the question, how is this happening for me? How is this happening for me? What is the learning from what is going on? What is the learning from the challenges? Because in the biggest breakdowns that we have the biggest breakthrough. So if you're doing it tough right now, then ask yourself those questions. Come back to gratitude and think about all those people who don't have homes, who don't have food, who don't have water or electricity or family members or any of that. Imagine those people, what they're going through in those war-torn areas right now around the world, wherever it is. You know, Ukraine, Russia suddenly is off the map. You know, what's happening over there? You know, it's crazy. Why can't we just live in peace? You know, it'd be lovely if everyone just got along and we all lived in peace. But as we know, there's dark and light forces in the world, and there always has been and no doubt always will be. And, you know, it's important to just keep rising above it. Keep rising above it. And that's something you do, Stephanie, and you're doing beautiful the work you do to raise awareness around what you're doing, saving kids from pricks, and Haley's Haven. And can people donate to you to help with this cause?
Oh, absolutely. I will. Once I got that website sorted, then I'll put a donation link in there. I'm going to try to make it a tax-deductible donation. I'm just working out how we might be able to do that. And then, you know, people can make a choice. Would they like to donate to something that's going to help to heal people, or would they like to donate to the PDF files down in Canberra?
Yes.
Choices.
Yes.
Because if it's tax deductible, because they don't have to pay so much federal tax. So.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. That's amazing. Now, I know you need to run off soon, so let's start to wrap up. Is there any final words on our topic today before we go to your quote?
Well, you asked me what's a saying that I run by, that I run with, and it is, you were born for a time such as this. And, you know, all of the living, all of the experience, and looking at it from being within it for nearly 30 years now, but not being within it as a victim, being within it as a victor. You know, we are kicking some goals with our girl, and we want to just keep kicking them. We want the med beds to come and get full and complete healing if we can do that. But
beautiful, Stephanie. That is, we do have your link for people to connect with you. Where can they go?
Okay, so you can go to my Facebook, which is Stephanie Nelson Llama Mama, and Llama Mama is all about llamas being so dang protective. But if we do catch up, I'm more than happy to share that story. It's beautiful. And
yes.
And if anybody wants information on vaccinations, I'm here. Reach out, you know, DM me, PM me. I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I just I don't want families being hurt, you know, and it hurts. It does.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of unnecessary, illnesses, dis-ease in the body that has happened from these jabs. And I personally believe anything foreign you put in the body is going to have some kind of side effect. And, some things you put in your body are just more toxic than other things. And as we've seen with jabs, unfortunately, there's been, a lot of side effects. And, I've seen it in my own family. My dad got shingles. He got the jab, but his whole side of his body, he had shingles. Never had shingles before at 84 years of age. And some people had the jab and there was no problems at all. And that's fantastic. But it's kind of like Russian roulette, you might have issues, you might not have issues. Do you want to take that risk?
Same with those childhood ones, darling. It is Russian roulette. You don't know if that jab is going to affect your child. And I'm not even talking about the baby ones where you don't even know that little's personality. I'm talking about the ones where our children are 4 and 5 years old. They're entering school now, and they have a personality, and they can talk, and they can reason, and they can converse with you. And then all of a sudden they can't. All of a sudden they're just not managing life. We've got to stop and think. But it's been a 200-year brainwashing exercise, so it's going to take a little bit of time to wash us right. But having said that, I really, really do have to go because I've got to catch a ferry to go and get my girl.
All right. go. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Thank you,
Thank
Stephanie.
you so much for having me. So lovely to meet you, Ken. And I love you, Aldwyn. You take good care.
You too. You too.
Thank
and give
you.
Haley a big hug for me.
Will do.
All right.
All
We'll
right.
see you
All the best. God
Bye.
bless.
You
Bye.
too. Bye. Bye. Oh, and that was beautiful Stephanie Nelson there, known as Llama Mama. Check her out on Facebook. Here we go. Facebook.com/llama.mama, which is LLAMA.MUMMA for those on audio. That is how you connect with beautiful Stephanie.
I
and
already
Haley
found her and I friend requested her.
Good. Excellent. All right, yeah. Ken, so over to you. Any final words on our topic today?
Yeah, you know what? If you want to know more about vaccines and the whole COVID thing and all the other stuff, I do have a 3-part article series on my website, www.masteryweightloss.com. And you can go there. That's my main website, and you can click on the blog section. And that article series, along with other stuff, will be there as well. It is a very detailed article series. It's not short, so be forewarned. We start with the basics on part 1. Part 2, we go deeper. And part 3, it's like wham, bang. No, I'm not finished with that article series yet. I've just been really busy as a coach and have not had a chance to return back to that series. But there are other parts that I want to write to that series, but the 3 parts that I have there should be enough to open up your eyes to some very interesting things. So there's that. And so I'm going to just transition here. So how can you connect with me if you want to work with me? So part of my story is, look, I've lost 62.5 pounds. I've been able to keep it off for 7+ years now without a diet and having that be sustainable. And actually right now I'm giving away my 3 secrets to help you feel energized, lose weight, and get healthy without starving or dieting. In 3 one-on-one sessions with me through my mini educational bootcamp series, I expose the 3 biggest lies that are keeping people sick, stuck, and overweight, because that's how that industry makes money. And I show them how they can I show people how they can fuel their body God's way and finally break free and keep the weight off for life sustainably, like I've been able to do. And so if you'd like to find out more about that mini educational bootcamp, it's not a workout plan. It's not an eating plan. You can go to www.masteryweightloss.com/connect, and that'll take you to my custom made, very simple connect page. 4 buttons on that page. One is to get into my bootcamp. The other one is to book a free strategy call with me. Maybe you don't know if my bootcamp is going to be the right fit. You don't know what your next steps is. Book a free strategy call with me. Let's get on and let's unpack what your next steps are going to look like and what's a fit for you, or whether or not it's a fit to work with me at all. And so book that free strategy call. The other 2 buttons, you can connect with me on Facebook and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So that is all the things. That is www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. And then I will also give a shameless plug for my current book that I have out right now. It's called Mastery, the Anti-Diet Revolution. It is a very easy flowing read. It's only 150 pages, and it will give you a really good overview on what I'm about, what I teach, and all the things. So really, really easy read. There's QR codes in there to get into my world as well. So you can find that on Amazon. So it's Mastery, the Anti-Diet Revolution. You can check that out. So, and I don't have a quote. I know that's the next question you're going to ask me. I was just too dialed into today's episode. Great stuff to talk about today. So, you know what? The one quote that I am going to give, and because the vaccines have ingredients, a lot of people don't know about the ingredients. The food system out there, the man-made food system out there, has a lot of harmful ingredients that's actually contributing to the autism and other problems that children are having. So I'm actually going to quote from myself This is something that is a coin phrase through my boot camp, through everything that I do. And basically, it's this: turn the freaking thing over. In other words, educate yourself on the ingredients. And that includes the ingredients that are in these vaccines. Educate yourself. There's a lot of technical words when it comes to that. So look them up. Find out what they are. Find out what the side effects are. Educate yourself. Turn the freaking thing over. It doesn't matter how healthy it touts itself to be. Turn it over always. That's it.
Yeah, I love that. And you may need a magnifying glass to be able to read. And I actually bought one specifically because my eyesight's, not as good as it used to be. And I find it so hard to read these labels. They're so tiny. So get yourself a little magnifying glass so you can turn the freaking thing over, as Ken says, and read the labels so you know what you're putting in your body. Awesome, Ken. Love your work. Now, I want to thank our amazing people who have been hopping on live here. We've got our good friend here, Corinda Marley. Good to see you. Hey, Corinda. He says, wow, I can't believe 131. Can you? Yeah, we were actually just talking about this. I think we started 4 years ago, 2022, I believe. And we met on an online networking event during COVID. And interestingly, we just got along really well. We interviewed each other for each other's shows. And then we thought, why don't we just start a show together? And that's where this was born back in 2022. And here we are, episode 131. And we have never met in person yet. I say yet because I do hope that one day we'll meet in person. We would love to have you here in Australia, or I come and see you over there. We will make it happen one day, I'm sure. So yes, 131 episodes. And Corinda, you've been nominated for an award. Well done. Well done. Nice work. We've got Sagar here. Hey, Sagar on Facebook. Sagar Rawat is with us. Hey, Aldwyn, good to see you there, Sagar. Corinda says, love to have you on my podcast. Now, I have been on Corinda's podcast called Empowerment Extend. Have you been on that show yet, Ken?
I have not. Have not had a chance yet.
Okay, yeah. Corinda's giving you an offer there. Very nice. Ken says, congratulations.
I meant congratulations for the reward. So I'm surprised that comment showed up like that alone, because I meant to reply to Corinda, but oh well, now he knows.
Okay. That's all right. And Corinda's asking, where can we find Stephanie? We've already shared that there. Fantastic. All right. So let's go to where you can connect with me. All right. So if you go to my linktree/Aldwyn, that actually has all my links for socials, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. Now, I have the biggest event of my whole career and my whole life I'm putting together as of tomorrow. We have the Impact Change Retreat. We have over 25 different facilitators and speakers. We've got things like breathwork, sound healing. We're doing marketing training, helping you with storytelling, conscious cash flow. We've got morning walks going on. We've got a phenomenal program of events from 2 till 10 p.m. tomorrow in person on the Gold Coast at Flourish Wellness Centre in Nerang, and from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So a huge 3 days. You can still get tickets. Okay, now if you've been watching this show, we want to reward you for that, and I'm going to offer you a half price ticket for any of the day events or the 3-day event if you private message me after this show, private message me and send me the word truth. And then let's have a conversation. Truth, ideally your phone number. Let's have a chat and we can get you a half price ticket opportunity there for this event starting tomorrow. We do have limited spots. It's a fully catered event. We've got a pool there, a spa. We've got all sorts of really cool things. Sally Kavanagh and Andrew Kavanagh run the Flourish Wellness Centre, and they've got things like red light therapy, infrared saunas. We've got pulse electromagnetic field energy machines that are going to increase people's energy. We've got acoustic dry float beds on site. We're going to be offering massage. It's going to be a really, really, really cool 3 days, all about helping to amplify your impact while nourishing your mind and body and soul. It's going to be awesome. So can't wait for that. And it's going to be a huge 3 days coming up. So you find all the details in my linktree/Aldwyn at the top. You'll also see there the link for the Global Good News Challenge, which is a free online video challenge we do every single month where we encourage people to share gratitude and good news on social media. And that's free marketing because we share your videos to thousands of people, and you will feel great when you do your videos, and so will people who see your videos. So we have a 4-day challenge for April, being the 4th month. You can start anytime in April, a live video just sharing your name, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for,
and a piece of good news. So all the details are at the top of the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page. And then we have my website, which has got a link there, 5 top tips to get TV exposure in there, and all my other social links, Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Look up Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen. I'm nearly at the 1,000 subscribers. Can you believe I've had over 313,000 views across my 1,600 or so videos on YouTube, and I'm not quite at the 1,000 subscribers. And I think it's partly to do with a few strikes on my account over the years, a little bit of censorship, etc. So we're working on getting that back up. So if you could support me there, I'd really appreciate a subscribe on my channel. And that's all the links, linktree/Aldwyn. You see it all across my socials. And my quote today, I am going to give you this one here. It's from A.A. Milne, and it's, "You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." And often, notice if you put yourself down, if you call yourself silly or stupid or have a go at yourself, look, I'm sure there's enough other people out there in the world having a go at you right now. So how about a little bit more kindness and compassion for self and others during this very challenging time right now where there's a lot of uncertainty in the world? Let's bring some more love and kindness and compassion, not just to others, but also to ourselves as well. And let's acknowledge ourselves more for some of our achievements and where we're at now and all the challenges we've been through to get to this point. And I do recommend also make some quality time for family and friends, because, we never know when will be the last time we see people. So let's really lean in and be present with people and make the most of the amazing connections that we have in our life, as well as say no or let go to people who are, really negative, or who just, people you just do not want in your life that lower your energy constantly. You do not want those people in your life. So you need to also, I believe, allow space and let go with love. Let go with other people in your life that don't serve your higher good or that don't have your best interests at heart. Okay, so just notice those people in your life as well. As they say, we're either glad when people come to see you or when they leave from seeing you. So just notice if the people that you hang out with, are you happy to see them go, or do you want to bring them in and see more of them? So there you go. A little bit of philosophy there at the end there. Ken, any final words?
No. Just stay alert, do the research, don't accept, even things that I say, don't accept it at face value. That's what got us in this whole situation in the first place, is we got complacent. We stopped asking questions.
Yes.
So always ask, questions, start looking at the data for yourself, the real data. Don't go on Google and just Google stuff. Good Lord. That should be really obvious by now. Go to places like Rumble, and really find the alternative sources. So, yeah.
Yes, 100%. And I love your work, Ken. It's been so great doing this show. 131 episodes. Oh, my gosh. Thank you to everyone who supported us. Please share the love if you've enjoyed this show today. Let us know what you've thought. Check out those links we gave you there on Wendy Daniel, also the Witness Statement movie, and Vaxxed. Go check out all those documentaries as well. That'll definitely give you a bit more insight into what we've been talking about for this show. Huge thanks again to Stephanie Nelson, Llama Mama, and hopefully we'll have her on a future show and she can share more about the story behind Llama Mama. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. And some of you will see at my retreat in the next few days. Can't wait to see you there. We're going to have an awesome event. All right. Much love. See you next time. Bye. See you. Bye.